Greetings, boys and girls. It is now time for Reader's Workshop. We're having fun learning reading today. Reading today is fun. We learn from our success. We learn from everyone. We're having fun learning reading today. Reading today is fun. We learn from our success. We learn from everyone. We're learning to think. Think today. Thinking today is fun. Thinking helps solve problems. Solving problems helps everyone. We're learning to think. Think today. Thinking today is fun. Thinking helps us solve problems. Solving problems helps everyone. Can you help me read our learning target for today? I can identify what an author wants to explain or describe. Remember, boys and girls, our vocabulary words are fact, and that's something that's true and you can prove it. And opinion. Remember, that's how someone thinks or feels, and everyone may not agree. We also have informational texts, and those are books that give information about different topics such as sports, animals, science, space, and more. Remember, an author writes a passage or a book for three main reasons. The first reason is an author writes an informational text to answer a question. Remember to look for a question mark, and then the answer comes after that. Questions might be, why do birds sing? Or how do fish swim? An author also writes informational texts to describe people, places, events, or things. Remember to look for describing words or adjectives. An author might write to describe World War II or maybe the Grand Canyon. Finally, an author writes informational texts to explain how to do things or to explain how things happen. For example, how a ladybug forms would be an explanation. How to cook something using a recipe, maybe experiments, how to do an experiment. Remember, look for transition words like first, next, or last, or maybe numbers like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. These give you clues to if an author is explaining. Now let's look at our practice passage for today. Remember, we read the questions first so that we'll understand what we're about to read, and we'll give ourselves a reason for reading the passage or a purpose for reading the passage. Then we'll read the passage, then go back to the answer choices and slash the trash to pick the best answer last. Let's read answer choice A. To explain how stained glass is made. B. To answer what stained glass looks like. C. To describe stained glass. So we know that we're going to be reading about something called stained glass. Can you help me read? Here we go. Stained glass is an old form of art. One of the main ingredients in glass is sand. First, the sand is heated to such a high temperature that it becomes a liquid. Then, after it is cooled, the colored glass is cut into pieces. Finally, the glass shapes are placed into a frame. Wow, that was some interesting information. Did you know that sand could be heated to such a high temperature that it becomes liquid and then it can be turned into glass? All right, boys and girls, let's look at our answer choices. To explain how stained glass is made. Boys and girls, can you find the key word in this answer choice? That's right, explain. Can you remember what explain means? Yes, it means using transition words like first, next, then, or last. Or maybe talking about steps using numbers like step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. Do you see any transition words in this passage? Yes, I see first, then, I see after, and finally. Great job. So it's looking like so far the best answer choice is A. So we're not going to circle the answer choice yet. Remember, we want to read all of the answer choices. Slash the trash first and pick the best answer last. So we're going to leave A alone. Let's look at answer choice B. To answer what stained glass looks like. Can you find the key word in this answer choice? That's right, to answer. Remember, to answer means to answer a question. Let's look at the beginning of this passage. Is the author asking a question and then answering that question? Do you see any question marks? No. So B should be slashed. Now let's look at answer choice C. To describe stained glass. Remember, the key word here is describe. That means the passage will tell us what the glass looks like. Well, I see that the glass is colored and it might be cut into pieces. So there was a little description of stained glass in the second paragraph. But does that mean the entire paragraph was explaining how stained glass looks? No, it doesn't. Do we see explaining words like transition words in the entire passage? Yes, we do. I see transition words in the first and second paragraph. So, to describe stained glass is a good answer, but is it the best answer, boys and girls? No, it's not. So let's slash C because they only describe stained glass in the second paragraph. And let's circle our best answer last. Answer A, to explain how stained glass is made. And we've proven that answer by underlining our transition words. Great job, boys and girls. Now it's time for you to try one on your own. Remember, read the answer choices first, followed by the passage, then go back to find the correct answer by slashing the trash and picking the best answer last. And if you can prove how you knew that that was the answer, great job for you. Now pause the video and have fun reading. Welcome back, boys and girls. Now, let's read the answer choices together. A, to explain how fairy tales are told. And the key word is explain. Remember, explain means giving steps, like first, next, then, or last, or 1, 2, 3, 4. B, to answer why fairy tales are told. Remember, answer is the key word here, to answer a question. And C, to describe fairy tales. And the key word is describe. That means giving us adjectives or description words so we'll know how it looks or how it sounds. Now, Can you read the passage with me again? Here we go. Fairy tales usually start with the phrase, "Once upon a time." They are often told to children as made-up stories that have a happy ending. Fairy tales give kids a way to imagine being a princess, a king, or a dragon. Great reading, boys and girls. Now, we've learned all about fairy tales, but let's see why the author wrote this passage. Let's go back to A. Answer choice A says to explain how fairy tales are told. Remember, explain means we need to look for transition words like first, next, then, or last, or steps like step 1, step 2, step 3. Did you remember reading any transition words or seeing any numbers? Not in this passage, so let's slash the trash. Answer choice B says to answer why fairy tales are told. Remember, to answer means to answer a question. Let's look at the beginning of this passage. Did the author ask a question and then answer it? Do you see any question marks? No. So, let's slash B. The last answer choice is C. But before we circle it, let's prove our answer. C says just to describe fairy tales. Remember, describe means to tell how something looks, or maybe sounds, feels, tastes, any of your senses. Fairy tales usually start with the phrase "once upon a time." Oh, this tells me how a fairy tale looks. The first words are "once upon a time." Then it says they are often told to children as made-up stories that have a happy ending. A happy ending tells me how a fairy tale looks at the end of the story. Something good happens at the end. Fairy tales give kids a way to imagine being a princess, king, or a dragon. Okay, there are princesses, kings, and dragons in fairy tales sometimes, so I'm sure some children do imagine being a princess, a king, or a dragon. Boys and girls, this describes a fairy tale. So our best answer is C. And we have proven by underlining why we said that that was the answer. Now, if you got that right, pat yourself on the back, boys and girls. If you missed it, just fix it. And we'll try again tomorrow. At this time, let's review what we've learned. Remember, an author's purpose or reason for writing a book or a passage can be found in the word lemonade. Look at the last 3 letters of lemonade, A-D-E. Remember, an author's reason or purpose for writing is A, to answer a question. Remember, look for a question mark. D, to describe something. Look for adjectives. Or E, to explain something. Look for transition words or steps. Now it's time for you to read one of your Just Right books for at least 20 minutes. Remember, a Just Right book is not too easy and it's not too difficult. It's just right for you. Then write about one of your books using your book response forms. After that, you can log into Headsprout or Freckle using my blog. I've also added another online resource for you to practice author's purpose. Have fun reading!